All right, I'm recording this video just for a certain number of people because if you're getting this, it means that I'm offering my buyer agent services to you. It's very limited. It's where I do everything for you. I go searching, I go looking for it. I even do the investment analysis. So this is more for people who are investors because I have been investing for, since 1992. So a long time, and we've got quite a big portfolio, which involves residential houses, units, dual key apartments, which means 2 sets of income. We've got investments in hotels, I've got investments in commercial, we've done land, we've done buildings. So I understand it a lot. So if you're getting this, it means that I'm going to offer everything that I would do and find you a property that I would buy and recommend it to you. So I won't send you stuff that a lot of people actually buy, which is not a good purchase. And you'll see people overpay for things or buy things with high expenses, low rental yields, not very big capital growth. So there's a lot of things when you're investing that you could look at. And I mean, if you look at my room, right, you can see that obviously I love the real estate monopoly game, but also this is the book that changed my life, that one here. So I understand multiple streams of income and cash flow. So a lot of our properties now are positive geared. Most of them are only negative geared for 5 years max, but most of ours, when we buy them, you'll see, I'll show you my spreadsheet. They're only negative geared for maybe 1-2 years, maximum 3, and then they start being neutral or positive geared. And that's because I understand cash flow. And obviously when you start buying properties and you buy your second and third property, they start to compound. So by the time you get to 8, plus you can pay off properties within like 3 or 4 years because all the rental income from those goes straight into there. So I can teach you cash flow, and that's how we run our real estate agency. So we're a little bit different because in the real estate world or investment world, I might even put up a graph if I can put it here somewhere. The people own, about 70% of people own 1 investment property, but when you start getting into 2 investment properties, I think it's about 17. When you start to get 3, 4, 5, and then maybe 6, 7, 8, you're in the lowest, maybe 2-3%. When you've got 6 plus, I think you're in the 1% of investors. See, that's where I am. So I can teach you all that. I can help you get there. I'm going to show you the spreadsheet that I use if you use our buyer agent services. So this is it. Now, obviously there's a fee. There's an initial fee to pay for all my staff's time and us doing all these searches and investment analysis, and we can do the whole thing. We can either find it, inspect it, arrange the inspectors, do the final inspection, do the recommendations. You just have to say yes, buy it, and we do everything else apart from what you need to do with solicitors and stuff like that. Or I can find it and you guys can go look at it. You can see if you like it, and you can make a decision and arrange your own pest and building inspectors and all that stuff. So there is an initial fee just to pay for our time to start the search and do the searching. And then when we find it, there's just a final percentage to, as a reward incentive for finding properties. But we do this with a very, very limited amount of people. So let me show you the spreadsheet. We're going to switch over to my desktop. I'll give you a quick view of how we analyze properties and ditch the ones that I wouldn't buy myself and only recommend to you the ones that are. And those will be either positive geared, which will only really happen if you buy a dual key apartment or a dual key duplex. Otherwise, we analyze the single apartments or houses, stuff like that. And I'll show you the rate of return. I'll show you how much the negative gearing is, and then you decide whether or not that's something for you. But I'll show you that now. Okay, so here is a few of the ones that we have looked at. Some of the ones that I purchased. I will show you this one, for example, here. This is one in Oxenford. It's called a Soho, which is street office, home office. So it's a mixed commercial residential. That's the address there. I basically get all the information. So for you, we'll get the rental income, we'll work out all the council rates and all the expenses that will happen. And when I give you a rate, it'll be the actual net rate after all expenses. So you'll see that this made $1,331 in rent. There was about $178 a week in expenses. Then I will work out what the purchase price was, which they wanted 1.7 million, stamp duty, and all that kind of stuff, including what your weekly repayments will be if you're getting a loan. And that includes all the interest and everything. And you'll see that this one was negative geared by $1,613. So we did not go ahead with this purchase. It is something I did not recommend. There's also a place in Brisbane because I want to get one on the river. You'll see it was in North Quay. The rental income was $650 a week in rent, $358 in expenses. So you'll see that was negative geared $455. Did not go ahead with that purchase. There is this one here, lot 102 on the Gold Coast. It is something that we bought. It was getting $1,250 in rent, so it's a dual key property. So it was high rent. The expenses were only $295 a week, so it left me with $955 per week in income. You'll see when I ran the numbers, this is about 3 years ago, it was $640,000 purchase. The return rate was 7.51. So that is massive. That is a huge return. And that is positive geared because we didn't borrow a lot of money on it by $295 per week. So that was making me $295 in profit every week. Here is another property that we bought. It's a dual key apartment in Surfers Paradise. It was bringing in a total of 1195. The body corporate was $404, but it was still positive geared by $790 per week. Sorry, it was bringing me a balance of $790 per week. So we took a loan on it. The return rate was 6.2%, which is still absolutely amazing. And in year one, it was only negative geared by $87. I can tell you now, though, we bought that over a year and a bit ago. The rents have increased and it is now positive geared. So that only took a year to positive gear. And then other things like there was another apartment in Surfers Paradise. I went to an auction. It was only returned, it was vacant, but the rent would have been $550 a week. They wanted $450,000 to buy it. It needed a renovation. That's over here on the right-hand side. It needed about $20,000 reno. I did those figures because we do renovations as well. And you will see that the purchase price was about $550. It was negative geared by $273 after expenses. Not too bad because most properties are negative geared now by $273 to $300. I just did not want to go through the buying it at that rate, doing $20,000 renovation, and then getting a rent return of $500. So that's not something that I wanted. But mind you, I've got multiple properties. But if that was my very first investment, that probably would have been a very average thing to buy, and you would have gone, yeah, okay, I can do it. But I got to chip in, after all expenses and everything, $273 per week. So that's the kind of thing that I do with my spreadsheet. Now, going back to the screen here, if this is something that interests you and you like what you've seen, you understand that I can find you properties if you're an investor, I can do the numbers, I can I can siphon out the bad ones, I can then give you the good ones, which is either negative geared by just a little bit, or if you're a multiple property investor, you can spread out your negative gearing if you've got one that's positive geared. If this is a service that you want, reach out, let me know. Like I said, we are fairly busy, and being the fact that I run the entire Nat Group Corporation plus our own investments and hotels and stuff like that, and I'm few committees, I only take on a small amount of people every year, and I don't do this very often for a lot of people. You can see this is like a specialized, in-depth, if I buy it, I'll give it to you to buy. If I wouldn't buy it, I wouldn't even recommend it to you. So this is proper investing with the whole concept of looking at cash flow. So if that's what you're after in the long-term game of buying a property and investing for your future, I'm your man. I've done it and I've grown the business. I've got my investments, and now after about 30 years of doing this, everything's positive geared, cash flow is coming in, business cash flow is coming in. So, it puts you in a good position to live the life that you want the way you want. So if that's what you're after, I'm your man. Give me a call.